The corrupt politician uses their position for personal gain rather than public service. They may accept bribes, engage in insider trading, award contracts to friends, or misuse campaign funds, often masters at hiding their corruption behind legitimate-seeming activities. The demagogue appeals to people's fears, bad feelings about certain groups of people, and emotions rather than reason. They often scapegoat minority groups, oversimplify complex issues, and offer unrealistic solutions to gain and maintain power. The opportunist has no consistent principles except self-advancement. They change positions based on political winds and public opinion polls, adopting whatever stance seems most advantageous at the moment. The extremist holds views well outside the mainstream and often advocates for huge sudden changes through words that make people angry or scared. They may glorify violence or dismiss democratic norms while claiming to defend some higher truth or principle. The puppet acts as a front for powerful interests that control their decisions behind the scenes. They may appear to have authority, but actually serve as a mouthpiece for donors, party leaders, or special interest groups. The nepotist, they view public office as a family business rather than a public trust. The empty suit lacks substance, knowledge, or real beliefs they care about. They rely on appealing appearance, rehearsed talking points, and avoiding difficult questions rather than demonstrating actual competence. The pragmatist, a politician who values practical solutions over following one strict set of ideas perfectly. They're willing to compromise and work across the dividing line between political parties to get things done. Their primary concern is whether policies work, not whether they fit with only one way of thinking about the world. The ideologue. This politician sticks firmly to a specific political ideology. They rarely compromise on their core beliefs and often view politics as a fight between right and wrong instead of a place to work together and make deals. The progressive, a politician who advocates for making society better with new rules and changes and new ideas. They believe in using government power to address societal problems and promote equality, often focused on issues like healthcare access, education reform, and environmental protection. The conservative, a politician who talks a lot about traditional values, smaller government, and slow, careful changes. They typically favour letting businesses operate with fewer rules, lower taxes, and are sceptical of quick changes to how society works or government expansion. The libertarian, advocates for letting people make their own choices and minimal government intervention. They believe in markets without many rules, personal freedoms, and oppose government regulation in both economic and personal matters. The populist claims to represent the people against the elite. They often use simple emotional language and promise to return power to ordinary citizens. The nationalist prioritizes the interests of their own country above all else. They often advocate for stricter immigration policies, keeping foreign products out to protect local jobs, and are skeptical of international organizations and treaties. The internationalist believes in cooperation between nations and supports international institutions. They value diplomacy, free trade, and countries working together to solve global problems like climate change and security threats. The centrist positions themselves in the middle of different political groups, often adopting moderate positions on most issues. They may pick and choose policies from both sides of the political spectrum. The socialist advocates for public or collective ownership of major industries and services. They believe in wealth redistribution and expanding social programs to reduce inequality. The career politician spent most of their adult life in politics. They know the system inside and out, but may be perceived as disconnected from regular people's concerns. The outsider enters politics from another field, usually business, entertainment, or military, and campaigns on being different from career politicians. They often promise to bring fresh perspectives, but may lack knowledge of how government works. The local hero built their reputation in local politics before moving to higher office. They maintain strong connections to their community and often focus on bringing resources back to their district or state. The policy wonk, deeply knowledgeable about specific policy areas and legislation. They focus on detailed plans and real problem solving rather than exciting speeches or personality contests. The party loyalist follows their party's positions faithfully and almost never votes differently from their team. They value party unity and can be counted on to vote with leadership on key issues. The Maverick frequently breaks with their party and prides themselves on independence. They may frustrate party leadership, but often appeal to voters who value independent thinking. The Rising Star, a young, charismatic politician who receives significant media attention and is seen as a future leader. They often gain prominence quickly, but may face high expectations. The Elder Statesperson, a long-serving, respected politician who carries significant influence due to their experience and institutional knowledge, often serves as a mentor to younger politicians. The Dealmaker excels at negotiation and meeting in the middle. They find common ground between opposing sides and broker agreements that allow all parties to claim some victory. The Obstructionist focuses on blocking the opposition's agenda rather than advancing their own. They use special rules and news messages to prevent policy changes they oppose. The Firebrand uses passionate words that stir up strong feelings to energize supporters and draw media attention. They're often more effective at raising awareness than passing legislation. The Workhorse quietly puts in long hours on committee work, writing new laws and helping people they represent. They may not grab headlines but are essential to the functioning of government. The Coalition Builder, skilled at bringing together diverse groups to support specific policies or candidates. They focus on finding common interests among different constituencies. The Fixer specializes in solving problems behind closed doors. When scandals emerge or difficult situations arise, they manage the crisis and minimize damage. The Strategist thinks several steps ahead and plans long-term political moves. They understand the political chessboard and position themselves and their allies for future advantage. The Messenger effectively communicates complex policies in simple terms. They serve as their party's spokesperson and shape public perception of issues. The People's Politician maintains a close connection with the voters in their area through frequent town halls, local events, and quickly helping people with problems. They prioritize representing the people who elected them. The Power Broker cultivates relationships with influential figures and organizations. Their strength comes from their network rather than their public support. The Mentor dedicates time to developing younger politicians and staff members. They build a legacy through the people they've helped advance in political careers. The Kingmaker influences who rises to power through endorsements, fundraising, and behind-the-scenes planning. Their support can make or break candidates in their party. The Team Player, always ready to help colleagues with campaigns, fundraising, or creating new rules and plans. They build goodwill that they can call upon when needed. The Lone Wolf operates independently with minimal alliances. They may be effective on specific issues, but often struggle to get different groups to work together for broader agendas. The Celebrity Politician uses personal fame and charisma to attract attention and support. They may come from entertainment, sports, or business backgrounds and leverage their pre-existing fame. The Everyman, Everywoman shows off and talks about their ordinary background and common touch. They present themselves as regular people who understand voters' everyday concerns. The Technocrat presents themselves as an expert problem solver with specialized knowledge. They appeal to voters who value competence and expertise over charisma. The Moral Authority bases their appeal on perceived high ethical standards or religious values. They often speak in terms of right and wrong rather than what actually works in real life. The Reformer campaigns on cleaning up corruption and changing business as usual. They position themselves as agents of change who will fix broken systems. The Defender presents themselves as protecting the people who voted for them from threats, whether economic, security-related, or cultural. They often use language of fighting for or guarding against something. The Visionary offers a compelling picture of the future and inspires people with big ideas. They focus on long-term transformation rather than small step-by-step changes. The Single-Issue Politician focuses primarily on one specific cause or policy area like environment, gun rights, or abortion. They may be one-dimensional but often have deep expertise in their chosen area. The Gadfly consistently criticizes the way things are now and raises uncomfortable questions. They may be more focused on pointing out problems than offering solutions. The Partisan Warrior excels at attacking political opponents and defending their own party. They're often deployed as attack dogs during campaigns or controversies. The bridge builder specializes in finding common ground between polarized groups. They work to reduce tensions and foster cooperation in divided political environments.